Hey guys, looks like it's beer 30. Let's go see what's in the fridge today. Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by Gregsbeerreviews. Today I got a feeling this is going to be a very interesting review. This was sent to me by Henry at Mobcraft, and this is their antique bourbon barrel sour brown ale. So before the review here, I usually go to Rate Beer and Beer Advocate and see what everybody else is thinking about the beer and doing my homework before I get on camera. And we did one yesterday from Mobcraft, and it was their Hell's Ginger Bomb. And it was decent. It wasn't outstanding. And from what I remember, none of their beers are outstanding. They're a very mediocre beer company as far as I'm concerned. And I think this is the last one that Henry has sent me, so I want to go ahead and get it out of the fridge. I don't have anything from Rate Beer on this. There's no reviews. But there is one guy that's posted on Beer Advocate. I want to read to you what this guy has posted. I normally don't do this, but I'm going to read to you on this one, and then we're going to investigate this a little bit more. The only guy that's reviewed, and this is what he said: that beer is awful, is one thing, but the unintentionally soured beer on top of it, the bottles are double labeled. You can peel the top label off to see a different label for a non-sour version of the same beer. If you're going to send a defective product out to your customers, you should either be more transparent about it or don't make it so obvious that you're lying about your terrible beers. Wow. And I got to looking at the label on this one, and I believe he's correct. So, on camera, you see the label here, and they've stuck it on there saying it's a sour brown ale. This label is very easy to peel off. It looks like it. So I'm going to try to peel this top label off and see what's underneath of it. Underneath of it, you can see there was another label on here at one time. There is definitely evidence of another label being on here. So what this guy is saying, that they've done a brown ale, and this is a collaboration between Mobcraft and Everett Brewing. What they've done, evidently, I haven't popped the cap on it yet, but what they've done is they've produced a brown ale. You know, somewhere along the line, it has soured, whether another yeast has got into the fermenter or what has happened. But what they've done, they've either left the label on and peeled another one on top of it, or they've tried to peel off those labels and get those labels off and stick another label on saying it's sour. That is not the way to run a beer brewery. It is definitely not. I mean, most people would have just either left that label on and told people that it was soured, maybe some Brettanomyces got into it, or something, or some wild yeast, or whatever, or just dumped it. But to me, according to what I'm reading from this guy and what I'm seeing evidence underneath this label, this is what has happened. So I'm not going to go into the food pairings or none of that stuff on this beer, We're going to pop the cap on this and see what's going on. So whether it's infected or it's got some Brettanomyces or wild ale yeast or something that's got into it or whatever, we're about to find out. Over to the light is a rich mahogany ruby color. Let's get a nose on it. It's definitely sour, guys. So they've had an issue during the brewing process. Instead of dumping it or maybe serving it somewhere in some kind of bar and labeling it as that, they've relabeled the bottles and sent it out anyway. Not a good way to do business, not a good way to get customers, not a good way to get a reputation. Definitely sour. Let's give it a taste. Hope it don't kill me. That is sour, that is tart. If that's what you were going after, fine. But to brew a beer and then to have it turn out this way unintentionally, and then to relabel the bottles, that's another thing altogether. This is a 7.5%er, so it's not going to go bad. And it does say here on beer it could brewed once. Either they have a sanitation issue, they may have brewed something with Brettanomyces in it before and didn't get all that out of tank. Brettanomyces is almost impossible to get rid of. That's why I've never brewed with it, because once it gets into your brewing buckets or containers and lines, just running sanitizer to it will not get rid of it. And then it stays in your buckets, and then whatever you're brewing after that is contaminated or has that wild sour taste to it. So that's why I've never introduced it into any of my brewing equipment. So it's very hard to get your hands around that unless you have dedicated equipment to brew that type of beer, and you only brew that type of beer in those containers or vessels and whatever. So not very smart business. And like I said, this guy burnt them up on it, and he gave them a horrible score. It was a 1.09. If you're going after that style, fine. But to have that come up as a mistake and then relabel the bottles and send them out is another thing. Slight hint of some dark cherries in there. Slight booziness to it for an only 7.5%er. Guys, I think they had a hiccup on this one, and they went on ahead and relabeled and shipped this stuff out. Not very good. I'm not saying this is a bad beer, but it's not what they intended to do. I'm not getting any bourbon notes from the beer. Well, I take that back. I'm getting a slight hint, and they may come out a little more as it warms up. I've been flapping my gums for 5 or 10 minutes. I am getting some slight bourbon notes to the nose now. Don't know if I've ever had a bourbon barrel sour before, so this would be a first. So whether maybe some of the barrels or something in the barrels contaminated the beer, I'm not sure. But it is definitely sour. I don't think that's what they originally planned to do with this beer, but somebody decided, somebody had a brainstorm and said, oh, we'll just put a new label on all this and say it's a sour brown ale. Not quite to the brown category. Most of the browns are a little bit darker than this, but it is what it is. I'm going to let this warm up before I flap my gums anymore. See what we end up with this. I'm going to sip on it for a little bit, pour her a little bit. And she's not a big sour tart fan, so I don't know what she's going to think of it. But after reading what I've read here and seeing the evidence of another label being on the bottle underneath this label, makes you think. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. I've been sitting on probably about 20 minutes or so. In my opinion, they should not have let this beer get out of the brewery. I'll be straight up honest with you guys. If you're intending to brew something sour, fine and dandy. But if you're producing a beer that it ends up sour, and you're not wanting a sour beer, and then to relabel it, or peel the labels off, and send your infected or soured beers out, it's not good business. I don't know what else to say other than I'm very disappointed that they would do that. So they get a reputation of doing stuff like that. They will not survive. So Henry, I appreciate you sending it to me, but if you were aware that this is happening, shame on you. There are not a lot of reviews for mild craft beer, and according to what the Rate Beer says, it's a collaboration, mild craft, House of Brews, and Everetts Wine, Spirits, and Beer. So 3 different people, or 3 different breweries, or whatever there, has had their hands on this, and if they all knew this was happening and they all let it go out, shame on them. The House of Brews, the Mild Craft Brewery, and Everetts will get a reputation of doing shit like this. So to me, guys, if it intended to be a sour ale, it's fairly mediocre. A little bit of some dark cherries in there. It does have a sour tart taste to it, whether that comes from Brettanomyces or some wild ale yeast or whatever that got into the beer while they were brewing it. Or even from the barrels that they put it in. Maybe the barrels that had something with bread in it before or something, so I don't know. I don't know what happened, but as the evidence that I've seen from what I've read and the label that I've peeled off and seen evidence of another label underneath there, not good business as far as I'm concerned. Final cut. Not something that's going to make you sick, hopefully. We'll see. But something definitely got into the beer while they were brewing it. So we're going to leave it at that. Not overly impressed with what I am getting, other than a little bit of dark cherries in there, sour tartness, hints of bourbon in there. Don't think I've ever had a bourbon barrel aged sour ale before, so this is the first for me. And first that I've seen that somebody is just trying to repackage an infected beer or a beer that's had something happen to it and send it out anyway. So we're going to leave it there, guys. As far as I'm concerned, this is going to get a B-. I'm going to give it to 5 because it's not. If you like a sour beer, you may enjoy this. It's on the lower scale, very easy drinking for me. It's not super sour or super tart, but there is evidence of something has happened to the beer. So, and there's no ratings on either of the sites. There's absolutely nobody has commented on this on Rate Beer, and just this one guy and Beer Advocate has posted what I read to you earlier. So, very interesting. So, if anybody else has had this beer and have found similarities or what I say is true, let me know what you think of it. I'm very disappointed that a brewery would do that. So, with that being said, numeric rating on this, guys, would be an 80. There is no dating on the bottle whatsoever, and hopefully nobody else that's in the craft beer brewery business would try to slide something by like this. It's very unprofessional as far as I'm concerned. So we'll leave it there. If you've had it, let me know what you think, guys. Come on back tomorrow. We're going to dig something. I guess this is the last mild craft beer that Henry has sent me, and none of their beers have been outstanding beers. They've all been fairly mediocre. No A beers as far as I recollect. So with that being said, let me know if you've had it. Come on back tomorrow. Let's dig something out for you. See you then.